So now that you've reread this book, would you consider this a smutty book? Or would you consider this a book with smut? Your face.
Yeah. A book with smut.
You knew I was going to ask that question.
It's definitely, I kind of figured.
Yeah.
After rereading it. And it was one, because this is the one that Brooke asked me to read and tell her if she should read it. And I read it and I was like, yeah, it's fine. But then I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I was like, I actually really liked it.
Well, as always, I have big thoughts.
You do have big thoughts, but this is my kind of book.
Sure. In what way?
2 people.
Just 2 normal.
Some jealousy.
Just 2 normal folks.
Yep.
One's a ghost and one's a human.
One's a human.
Necromancer.
Yeah, exactly. Completely mine.
Okay.
My style.
Well, we did say that we weren't going to do any more series, and this is actually technically a duology.
It is. But the other book isn't out, and you don't have to read the next one. Like, all the loose ends are tied up here.
Agreed.
Do I want to read the next one? Yeah.
I do.
Same.
All right. Well, welcome back to Book Sluts. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nicole.
We read, recap, and review smutty books, or in this case, books with smut.
Apparently.
What book did we read this week?
We are reading Phantasma by Kaylie Smith.
The trigger warnings on this book are sexual content and scenes with elements of horror, as well as in-depth depictions of obsessive-compulsive tendencies, such as intrusive thoughts and compulsive tics. The book says for additional triggers to visit the website, and I did, because I read that and thought, surely these are not all the triggers. But they are. That's all of the triggers.
It's not a super dark one.
It really isn't, which is surprising given just the theme of the book. We do want to be really respectful of how we discuss the OCD that happens in this book, because the author herself, she manages some OCD tendencies. And so I think that was kind of a big part of why she wrote it into the character in this book. So we're going to be as respectful as we can be with the limited knowledge that we have about it. So there is a dedication in this book.
Okay. I did not even read the dedication.
I know. The Never King had some good ones.
Yeah.
This one is good too.
Do you always read a dedication?
I don't, but after the Never King, they were so good that I started reading them.
Okay.
I also started reading the forewords and the author's acknowledgements and things like that.
Yeah, I skip to the good stuff. I skip a lot though.
I used to do that too, but now I feel like I have a responsibility with this massive platform that we have here.
And I know that you are going to do this, so I don't have to.
Yeah, I love that for you. Well, the dedication in this one is to those who have had to claw their way out of the dark and still choose to be a light.
Oh, I do love that.
Yeah, I thought
it's very fitting.
It is. We open this book with a prologue, and the prologue has zero context. We don't know who the characters are. It's just a devil and a woman. And the woman is accusing the devil of tricking her. She says, the devil had a wicked mouth and a voice as smooth as bourbon. And I really have to say thank God for this prologue, because the prologue is sexy.
Yeah.
The first, 80 pages of this book
are not. But can I also tell you that I feel like this prologue is completely unnecessary.
I agree.
It adds nothing to the story. It does set a tone.
It's a scene that happens later in the book, verbatim. And I take back what I just said, because I agreed with you, because I always agree with you. I hate myself for that. But I actually think it was necessary, because I needed to be, it's like opening the book with a sex scene.
Yeah.
I needed something sexy, get me convinced to read through the next bit of this book, because
it does.
If somebody had told me this is a book with smut and not this is a smutty book, I think I would have gone in with different expectations. But
we had, after reading those last 4 books, the last first 2.
Yeah.
High expectations, just right out the gate. And some other books that we've read start with sex scenes. And this one, it's a book with smut.
Yeah.
I do like the scenes though.
Of
course I do.
The rest of the book chapters are more or less a countdown of the time leading up to, during, and after Phantasma, which, thank God, because the entire book takes place basically in the dark. And I think without that specific countdown, there really would be no discerning timeline.
No.
You would have no idea. And that's intentional because of what Phantasma is. But for me, I had no idea what was going on most of the time. We start 3 nights until Phantasma. Our story takes place in New Orleans, which did win me over because New Orleans is my favorite place in the world. And it very much feels like a New Orleans-esque book. It has all of the signature trademarks of New Orleans and the afterlife and just kind of all of the spookiness. We meet our main characters, Ophelia and her younger sister, Genevieve Grimm. Their mothers just died suddenly and unexpectedly, literally just dropped dead in their living room. Their mother was a necromancer whose powers are transferred to her oldest daughter, Ophelia, upon her death, along with a heart-shaped locket that cannot be opened. They learn that their family estate is going to be foreclosed upon, and the sisters get into a fight, and they get separated. And here is really where our story begins.
Yeah, it's a lot leading up to, and I guess like it is necessary. We really like get invested with these characters. And it did really make me like her sister.
I love her sister.
The way her sister is much more interesting, I think. And if you wouldn't read these beginning pages, you wouldn't even know anything about her sister.
Yeah.
And I'm super interested in her sister at this point.
Yeah. Well, this part of the story also kind of breaks down this side character, the shadow voice. And this is how the author portrays Ophelia's OCD. And so these first like 40 pages, I think, kind of show us what she struggles with this voice, because there's a lot of opportunity for this voice to kind of demand that it gives her ultimatums. It'll say things like, knock 3 times or your sister will die a gruesome death. If you don't get home in 5 minutes, your manor will crumble. And she believes that by listening to the voice's commands that she cancels out the evil that lives within her.
She thinks she is evil herself.
I really have a lot of issues with this character. I love a lady. I love a woman. I love women in general. Even the most damaged, the most challenging women, I find something to love about them. Everybody hated Feyre. I loved Feyre.
Of course you did.
All women, like, that's basically a blanket statement. I even felt bad for Cherry.
I did too, though.
Ophelia is, to me, she is a constant contradiction of her character. I don't think that we're not going to talk about it anymore. We'll just talk about the book. How do you feel I've done so far? Tell me.
I probably have fewer thoughts because I read this book for what it was, but you went into it with different expectations too. And you have some high expectations. Like, Feyre is a very powerful character.
By this point in the book, I had reconfigured my expectations for the rest of the book. So, after being separated from her sister, Ophelia stumbles upon the location of Phantasma, aka the Devil's Manor. Phantasma is a traveling attraction that people can elect to enter for the chance to win a highly coveted prize, which is a wish granted by a devil. In order to win, they must survive 9 levels of hell, 1 a night, and be the only living contestant remaining. And they stay in the manor the entire time and are subjected to other terrors and haunts in between each of the levels.
Yeah. Just an all-around spooky contest.
At the site of the attraction, which is not open yet, Ophelia meets a ghost that she can hear but cannot see, who calls her angel and tells her that they're trapped, and the only way that they can be freed is with a heart and a key. Ophelia returns home and discovers her sister has entered herself into Phantasma, and Ophelia decides she's going to enter as well to save her sister. Again, I'm just not overly fond of this. We learn in the beginning of this book the absolute dedication that Ophelia has to carrying on her family's tradition as necromancers, carrying on with Grimm Manor, and then she's just gonna throw it all away and just throw caution to the wind. The most cautious person.
Yeah.
She's just gonna throw caution to the wind and join this contest. And she's not even 100% sure that her sister is there.
Well, I mean, she's pretty sure.
Is this going to be me ragging on her and you defending her the whole time?
I think so. Even though I totally get what you're saying, but she's going there to look for her sister. Like, they're going to lose the manor if they don't come up with the money because they found out that their mom took out loans against the house that they thought was paid for. Like, they have to get any wish. So they basically have to join. Well, that's what Genevieve feels.
Sure.
And then Ophelia is like, I'm not. People die during this contest. I
Mhm.
think they said like 21 died in the last city. So a lot of people die. I'd be worried too. Would I go
Yeah.
after my dumbass sister? Probably not, but
No. That seems like a pretty big risk to take for somebody who is like,
her sister is her only friend, her only family, her only everything. So I think it's more about her dedication to her sister than anything.
Yeah.
Can we talk too about when she hears the voice
Mhm.
that's talking to her and she comments on like basically what a sexy voice it is?
You love
And we
that shit.
just talked today about how important voices are. And I love hands and I love a sexy voice. I have
Mhm.
some weird things that I'm into, but a voice can like break
I
it.
don't think that those are weird. I think that that makes a lot of sense. Hands are touching you.
Yeah. I don't want I don't want
Yeah. Little
no, yeah,
little
my
lady
small
hands.
hand
Yeah,
touching me. I'm big man hands,
sure.
but and a voice.
Right. Big deep voice.
It has to be. Could you
Mhm.
imagine if it was a little chipmunk voice talking to her?
I have a little chipmunk voice at
How
home,
dare
and I just
would you have
it's
gone
fine.
I feel like she maybe went to Phantasma a little bit as well to track down that voice.
Do
She's chasing the
you?
dick.
Oh my god. Alright.
Maybe.
That's a take. Well, upon entering, the devil who runs entry takes Ophelia's memories and collects her deepest fears, and she is sent to floor 4. But her sister is not in her group on floor 4, and she is forbidden from visiting other floors until level 7. And this, I think, mansion is a little bit like a fun house.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was picturing.
Yeah, even if she wanted to break the rules, she wouldn't be able
No,
to.
she can't.
It basically
Because
is just a circular.
they tell her she can't leave her wing, but she
Mhm.
does some exploring, and it doesn't seem like she's even at risk of, like,
Mhm.
going outside of her bounds.
Yeah, this very first night that she's here, she opens a portal and summons a door, and the house is like, "Yeah, here you go, babe."
Yeah. Good luck.
So, her first night and day, she experiences a couple of haunts and meets our love interest, which is the corporeal form of the voice from the night before. His name is Blackwell. Do you wanna give a physical description for Blackwell?
Sure. So she said that he has green eyes and white hair, very tall. I get the vibe that he's more lanky than muscular,
Sure.
and then dressed just very regal. You
You were in charge of the descriptions, so
didn't really pay much attention.
I no, I thought I didn't
How were you picturing him
I
then?
never no, I was first of all, I did not picture him with white hair.
Same.
S
Absolutely
Completely
not.
skipped that part.
No, I
No, he
don't even
had
picture Rowan with white hair.
no, agreed.
Mhm.
He had dark hair, and he was absolutely not lanky. He was like
Okay. I still got on board with the lanky.
mhm,
Yeah, I'm old-timey type of guy with his, like,
sure.
suspenders is what I'm picturing.
The only thing that I really remember is that she says something along the lines of, "He's the most attractive
Yes,
man."
very, very attractive and tall, but,
Mhm.
like, 6'3" because Ophelia is 5'11", she says.
Oh, that's right.
She's very tall, very thin, has long black hair, and piercing, like, white, blue, icy eyes.
Mhm. Which she inherited when she inherited her magic from her mom.
And then Genevieve is, like, a smaller, kinda curvier, dark-haired version. Love.
I love.
Already more invested in Genevieve.
Well, and she also has, like, a sailor's mouth
Yeah,
and
much more spunky,
mhm,
carefree.
mhm.
Ophelia is kind of a wet blanket.
Which there's nothing wrong with being a
No.
wet blanket. I love a wet blanket as much as the next.
Yeah, it's
Ophelia
easier for us to
it's
relate.
it is easier for us to
Yeah,
relate, but Ophelia doesn't bother me because she's a wet blanket.
okay.
She bothers me because she's simultaneously so sure and just dumb at the same time.
Chaotic.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
every decision, it's like, "What were you thinking?"
mhm, and I keep expecting her to be smarter.
Yeah. Some of her decisions,
She is.
some things that she does, I would have done as well, though.
Oh,
The
sure,
chaos, I
sure.
can relate to, I guess.
Well, I have to be really careful about how I talk about her decisions then.
But we love to disagree.
That's
So much
true.
more interesting.
I just don't wanna say something that hurts your
I
feelings.
don't think you'll ever offend me,
Okay, good to know.
so
In Phantasma's games, one of the surest ways to survive is to make a deal with one of the resident devils or phantoms, and Blackwell makes his first offer to Ophelia here, which she promptly turns down. That fits
Yes.
her. It makes sense that she would turn it down.
Yes.
That didn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah. Well, her mother always told her not to make a deal with the devil, and he's not a devil. He's just a phantom. But still.
We have made it through our first day and night, and we are on level 1 of Phantasma. The first level is Limbo. So a devil appears with a riddle for each level that explains the level and then gives the contestants the opportunity to drop out. And the challenge here is a maze with total sensory deprivation. No sound, no touch, just pure white maze.
I hate it. I hate it. This would have gotten me. There's no way. I absolutely hate that. This felt very creepy to me. This was the little bit of creepy I was looking for in the book. Yeah. I'm like, this is terrifying.
This whole book is creepy. Every single one of these levels is like, wow. The concept for this story is excellent.
Agreed.
Without question.
Yes.
Ophelia makes it out and makes an enemy of one of the other contestants. 2 of the other contestants.
Yes.
A duo, Kale and Bo. While they're fighting, Kale grabs onto Ophelia's wrist and won't let go. And to her surprise, her arm goes transparent and breaks free of his grip. And the contestants decide that she's one of them, as in one of the paranormal beings in Phantasma. A brawl breaks out where Phantasma contributes to the chaos by adding haunts and weapons. And in all of the chaos, Ophelia is gravely wounded and she is saved by Blackwell. When she awakens the next day, she makes her bargain with Blackwell. So she gives in to his bargain. He will keep her from harm, and in exchange, she will help him find the heart and key. And if she fulfills this, she goes free. And if she doesn't, he gets 10 years of her lifespan. From here on out, any downtime between levels is spent with Blackwell and Ophelia looking for the heart and key in the manor.
This whole scene, like, I loved it. I loved the chaos. I loved that the house was like, here's some knives, guys. Like, do your worst.
Yes.
And then Blackwell comes in and I made a note. He starts becoming so charming here. Where there's one point where he's like holding some back and then he like winks at her. And I was just giddy.
I really like Blackwell a lot.
He's very witty, charming.
Yeah.
I like that we pictured him differently though. I think there's a dynamic because Kale is very like big and
oh, see, I didn't even read his description.
Yeah. He's like a big guy.
Oh, I see.
And Blackwell is not, but he's a ghost, so
a little bit of a one up there.
Yeah, I was trying to explain the ghost thing because my sisters were like, "No."
Well, he's a phantom.
Yeah.
So it's not like
he's not see-through
ghost. He is
like the end of Casper when he comes out and he's still a ghost, but he's Devon Sawa.
Dances with Christina Ricci.
Yeah,
I love that you thought of Devon Sawa, and I was like, immediately like Christina Ricci, babe. The only thing I liked about that movie was Christina Ricci. I have a massive crush on her.
But not Devon Sawa?
No.
Oh, I went in my youth, Devon Sawa and Josh Hartnett were.
Yeah.
That hair. I think it was that hair.
You know that I waited on Josh Hartnett.
Who hasn't? We've all seen him at the airport or somewhere from Minneapolis or this area. So.
Yeah. I waited on him and
you're not special. We all have.
Oh, okay. Well, that was I was
going to tell. Want to say the rest
no. I was going to tell the story, but it's fine. No, it's fine. Let's move on.
Moving on.
All right. Level 2 is lust. Ophelia must fight the urge to do naughty things with the person she lusts after the most, which in this case is Blackwell.
Yes.
But she sees through the charade and Blackwell steps in to help her and they escape unscathed. After this level, while Ophelia and Blackwell are searching for the heart and key, they find themselves in a hidden room in the library that is booby-trapped to rain acid. Ophelia has to strip out of her clothes in order to avoid being burned.
Of course she does.
I hate this room.
I know.
It's so... This room serves no purpose other than to get naked and have... She doesn't even have sex with him.
It's like the one bed at the inn.
Yeah.
That type of a trope.
Yeah. Well, and then for her to be like, yeah, let's do this. It's so again,
She
it doesn't match her character at all.
She had clearly already been lusting after him.
I know.
Hardcore.
I
At whole
know.
level. She almost died because she was, trying to hop on that.
I know, but no, it doesn't fit her.
Well, because she's only been with, I think, one other person, she
Mhm.
says.
Yeah.
So that is true. She's not, I mean, and she's throwing it all away, and this is night 3.
Thank you.
I see. Genevieve would have been all over all these
Yes,
6.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make her better than Ophelia.
Just
Just
different.
different. Essentially, Blackwell is teasing Ophelia about him being her challenge in the lust level. She tells him to show her what it would have been like, and he does. He licks and sucks her body while she grinds against him until she orgasms. There's no penetration.
Wow.
He doesn't get off. The one
I
thing that
like that she asked. Doesn't she ask if he did? Which just adorable. That
yeah,
does show how inexperienced she is.
yeah. Yeah.
I did write that down, even though it's not a super little spicy little
Mhm.
section, it's a little bit. So it's from page 203 to 207.
Oh, wow, that's much longer than I was expecting. The one thing that I did like about this scene is that it highlights, because I think in a lot of the other, like, smutty scenes that we read, there isn't a ton of time spent on body play.
Yeah.
It really a lot of the times is just, like, directly to
Yes.
and he spends a ton of time all over her body,
Yeah.
touching her, kissing her, licking her, which is pretty quintessential to having a natural orgasm. So
Yeah.
for him to actually be doing what is a very natural thing to do and know how to
Yeah.
do it was very impressive. So I'm gonna
I read another book today, and this girl orgasms just from giving him a blowjob. Like, that is not real. That doesn't happen. So this is very
I'm glad that you read
realistic.
that book and not
Oh
me.
my
I would have
god.
been mad.
I know. I told you about that book today.
I know.
Mistakes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Level 3 is greed. The contestants are locked in cages above a lava pit. In order to get out, they must collect gold weights to act as counterweights to the weight of their cages. And any gold that they collect above and beyond what it takes to get out, they get to keep. But of course, the gold add weights to their cages. Ophelia gets out by the skin of her teeth. The shadow voice is especially loud, and we discover that when Blackwell is around, the voice is more quiet. And he has a very perceptive understanding of her struggles with the voice, including that it likes to pair things in 3. So when she's freaking out over the lava pit, he has her take 3 breaths. And again, I have to say I really like Blackwell.
Mhm.
That's
He's
very
so understanding, but he doesn't push her.
Mhm.
Like, he wants to help, but he's like, "You don't have to tell me what's going on. You don't have to tell me about it, but
Yeah.
let's try to manage."
Mhm. When they return from this level, they barely make it to the hallway. I think she's having a meltdown or something.
Well, she killed people. People died. She could smell their burning flesh.
Right.
And then the shadow is telling her that she did this, it's her fault. This is the first person that she's kind of
Ind
killed,
indirectly killed.
and she's struggling. I mean, this is this sad little girl who has no friends and
Mhm.
is just a necromancer, and now she's killed someone. So, yeah,
Well,
she's having a hard time.
yeah, except that now immediately they roll out of the pits of hell into the hallway where they start making out, and Blackwell goes down on Ophelia because
Yeah.
she needed a distraction. I can't. I fucking can't, dude.
Some people,
I
though
literally almost just killed somebody, and now I would like to suck your dick.
but some
No.
people, that does work for them. That, like, near
Mm.
death
Mhm.
thing. Some people
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So then in the hallway, Blackwell's going down on her. He transports them back to her room where, again, Ophelia does something that feels a little bit out of character, and she decides that she's gonna go down on Blackwell and give him head. And although it was annoying to me that she did this, I really just would dare anybody to read this scene and tell me that they don't like to give head, that giving head isn't fun. Because this man is like putty.
I will
It
agree.
is. I
Yes.
there's nothing that in my mind that would bring me more joy than to make Blackwell make the noises that he makes in this scene.
I agree. For me, it's never been something I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I do it. I'm great at it.
Of course.
But Dave's already putty.
Sure.
So doing that, it's
Just
great,
extra.
but I've already got him,
Yeah. I
where I
hear you.
want him. So this little scene starts on, is that the scene?
That's not the whole scene.
No, but is this the, okay, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But this scene does start on page 244 and goes to page 256.
Yeah.
So,
It's a long one. After she gives him head, then they go to having sex. Him on top, then her on top, and in the middle of her riding him, the next haunt starts.
yeah.
And it starts raining blood in their room. And they just decide that they're gonna keep
I'm
going.
bothered.
Mhm.
I do kind of love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
He can clean it up so easily after. So
Mhm.
I'm not worried about the mess. Not
Sure.
worried about having to, like, go wash the blood out of my hair. It's
Mhm.
just, like, in the moment, I could see how that's hot.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
No, not for you. What about
No.
rain? Having sex in the rain?
No, that sounds
Oh,
awful.
no. Really?
No. Have you had sex in the rain before?
Trying to think if I have.
Obviously, like, I've had sex in the shower,
Yeah,
sex in a
in the
bathtub,
pool.
sex in a pool, like, the
Hot tub,
usuals.
yeah.
Yeah, but I just don't think thinking back on those, I don't think those were great. I usually
Water sex is so overrated.
It really is. Yeah,
I don't think I have ever in the rain, but would I? Yeah.
sure.
Like, even just making out in the rain,
Little
it's so
Spider-Man
sexy.
little Spider-Man action.
Yes. It's
Circa.
this, I get this.
I didn't, and I
Okay.
guess we're gonna have to agree to
We
disagree on
Yeah,
that as well.
we love to disagree.
It's not as much fun when we don't agree on anything. Let's make a pact that we're gonna find one
One
thing
thing.
to agree on in
I
this
think
book. We agree on Blackwell.
yeah, we agree. I think there might be a scene that we maybe agree on. I'm
Okay,
not sure.
okay.
We'll get there and we'll see.
Yeah. Level 4 is gluttony, and gluttony is basically a giant chessboard that all of the players are set up on, and then with deadly obstacles that pop down or become more deadly the deeper into the game board that they get. And in this level, she kills another player intentionally who is attacking her. And
Turns her on again. So I think she might have this weird near death kink.
okay, so now I'm kink shaming. I didn't even realize that. I'm so sorry. If you are an adrenaline junkie who gets off on it and I
Yeah,
offended you, I'm so sorry. I never wanted to do that. My thing is it just feels, I think, out of character
for
for
her.
her
Yeah.
because she is so conservative all the time.
And this is still only like night 5. She
Mhm.
barely knows.
She barely knows this guy.
Yeah.
Although I can see how experiencing a traumatic thing with somebody creates a trauma bond,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
This book is a little trauma bonded.
It really is. She asks Blackwell to distract her, and they have sex again this time with Blackwell behind her, holding her up. If you're waiting for anything more risque than
Yeah.
that, you're not gonna get it in this book.
I will always be a fan of a guy saying, "Grab the headboard."
You've loved that since Cassie and Vanessa.
Yes. He says that here, and
You were like, "Let me go home
yeah,
and grab my
like,
headboard."
"Where's Dave?"
Yeah.
Well, let me text him. But that is page 301 to 306.
Mhm.
I also like here that Blackwell kinda tried to turn her down. So she's like, "Alright, fine.
Sure.
I'll just get myself there."
Mhm.
And he can't resist, which I also do love.
Yeah.
I liked the scene. I thought maybe you would, but
Well, let me just make one clarifying point here.
yeah.
If Blackwell was a real man in real life, then I would think that this sex here is top tier for sure. I don't read smutty books
Yeah.
for top tier real life sex.
Yeah, you're
I
looking
already
for
have
in
top
the
tier.
sky,
Yes.
veins.
Yes. I'm looking for something a
Mhm.
little bit different. So
Sure.
yes,
I'm pretty vanilla.
I know that you are, and I
I
love that
know.
for you.
Grabbing the headboard is about as risque as
Oh my
I might
god.
get. Yeah.
Well,
So this
I
book was great for
get a
me.
little bit more risque than that in my real life, so I'm gonna need it to be a little
Just a
bit
little more. This is
elevated.
pretty tame.
Here, Ophelia meets Sinclair, a devil with a particular disdain for Blackwell. He corners her in the library and reveals that Phantasma is operated by not just any devil, but the Prince of Devils. And he persuades Ophelia into a fantasy ball that feels so real, she can't get out of it until Blackwell comes to save her and barely gets her to the level 5 challenge on time. So Sinclair is trying to get her eliminated here. Level 5 is Wrath. The contestants have to pick someone to eliminate, and if it's a unanimous vote, then that person doesn't get a pedestal to get out of the level. They all, of course, choose, what is his name, Cade or Kale? Cade.
I know.
I hate him so much. They all choose Cade, who turns to murder, trying to choke out one of the other contestants. And Ophelia gets him to stop with her invisibility capabilities that she's recently discovered. The contestant that was being choked withdraws from the competition, and they all return to the mansion.
It felt kind of like Hunger Games, and I think maybe I would have just been more ruthless in Hunger. Not everybody's going to survive this.
Right.
So I'm just like, who cares?
Yeah.
If some of these people need to be forced out.
Yeah.
I think I'd be a little more ruthless than Ophelia is here.
I would not be.
No. I would just be like,
I would have been with Ophelia watching it because she sort of watches it happen, and then after nobody steps in for a hot minute and this contestant is almost dead, then Ophelia steps in, and I think there probably would have been something in that range for me where I'm kind of watching it, waiting for somebody else to do something, and then I would have stepped in long before she did, though, if, like, nobody jumped in right away.
Right.
Then but I also find it hard to believe that none of the other contestants said anything until this woman was almost dead. It I don't know, maybe it's the Midwest. It feels like somebody would have stepped in and said, "Hey there, bud. We're taking it a little far." You know what I mean?
You're in a game where you're going to die.
I know.
Or you could die. Like,
I
the
think
odds of you dying are high.
I know. I think that it would just be it's just too hard for me to suspend my I am a martyr till the day I die, you know?
So's Ophelia. Ophelia is definitely a martyr.
Yeah. Ophelia and Blackwell give one another head again after this.
Of course they do.
And are interrupted by Jasper. Jasper is the devil that handled entry into Phantasma. And Jasper has made a deal with Blackwell to get more information about Ophelia's family. And he discloses that Ophelia's mother and father were contestants in Phantasma and fell in love, which is forbidden. Ophelia was conceived during their time there, but because of the conditions of falling in love at Phantasma being broken, they were cursed. Her mother becomes ambivalent towards their father, and their father becomes obsessive about their mother. Her father was a specter, which is why Ophelia can go transparent. And Ophelia, in her moment of discontent, reveals that she is falling for Blackwell.
Yeah. And that nice little sex scene is from 349 to 352.
They just give each other head there, which is fine. I love that for them. They decide, they being Blackwell and Ophelia, that it's in their best interest to just be business partners until the end of the games. But Ophelia is devastated and decides to lash out. This is the decision that you would make.
Yes. This also felt a little out of character for Blackwell too, because he's a ghost. What the fuck does he care?
Right.
If she falls in love, nothing's going to happen to him.
Well, I think that Blackwell's affection for her is more sincere than her affection for him. So I could be wrong, but
sure.
She decides to lash out by making out with Sinclair, who we know is
this is definitely a decision I would have done.
And she lets him finger her, but it's not Blackwell, so she stops it before it goes any further. Level 6 is Deceit, where they play a fucked up version of Truth or Dare, where there is no dare option and a giant anvil that kills the contestants who guessed wrong. Ophelia once again moves on to the next round. And when she returns to her room, Blackwell is there to confront her about making out with Sinclair.
I was waiting for that scene. I'm so glad. I love that little bit of jealousy, so I'm so glad we got that. Those decisions are decisions I would have made. For sure.
Yeah, well, this whole scene is them just torturing each other, telling them how much they love each other but don't talk to me, and
yeah.
It's very melodramatic. Level 7 of Phantasma is violence. The remaining 3 contestants must decide if everyone walks or if a fight to the death causes an elimination. Cade and Ophelia fight to the death, and Ophelia takes Cade's life force. She comes out of the challenge and comes face to face with her shadow voice, who has been freed from her body. She tracks it down, and it almost kills her, but Blackwell rescues her, and we realize that it was actually a haunt, that it wasn't real. It was just being created by Phantasma.
She was clawing her own face off.
Mm-hmm. So overcome with emotion, they have sex again.
Of course, I'm telling you, it is now on brand. She's done this now 4 times. Every time she almost dies, she is revved up.
I think with normal problems, like everyday problems, I absolutely am somebody who'll be like, you know what would be way more fun than worrying about this stupid piddly thing would be to have sex. If my life was on the line, I don't think it would be.
See, I feel like I would be the opposite. On an everyday, if I have the most mild inconvenience, I'm pissed off and just don't fucking touch me.
Sure.
But I mean,
if this might be the last day of my life.
I'm going for it.
I'm gonna have sex with the ghost.
Yes, blood, it doesn't matter, whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this might do it for. I've discovered something new.
Oh my God, I love that for you. Are you gonna start jumping out of planes? I wish you would. Just so that I can live vicariously through you.
Just to see what would happen.
Well, obviously with a parachute. I don't know if I need to clarify that or not.
Yeah, no. I figured. Maybe I'll start riding roller coasters.
Okay.
That'll be the adrenaline. That'll be my adrenaline.
And then having sex in public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave, your wife is calling.
We've done it before.
Cute.
It was nighttime in an alley.
Sure. I gave my husband head once in a bathroom.
I love that.
Well, the sex is missionary.
In the dark.
In the dark.
And it's from page 416 to 421. So you did not find any inspiration in this book.
No. Nope. These are all things that I already do. So
see, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I know. Well, they decide that they're going to go for a second round after the first, and they are interrupted by Genevieve.
Love that. And I love she calls her out.
Mm-hmm.
She comes bounding in and calls out Ophelia for fucking this ghost.
Yeah.
She says I should have been doing that.
Yeah. She says something like, I go away for 5 days and I come back and you're being naughty. Why are you having more fun than me? I want to talk about the fact that Ophelia and Genevieve get some alone time here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I question everything about Ophelia.
Yeah.
Because she's basically telling her sister, I didn't know that we were close. I didn't know that you cared about me. And her sister's like, of course I cared about you. I was doing all of this so I could, help you and protect you. And again, it's like you came and entered this contest with no proof that she was going to be here so you could save her life. And now you're saying that you don't feel like you guys are that close.
Do you feel like it's a self-esteem issue with her? Her self-esteem is so low. She's never had friends. She was always just raised to be this.
The way that this bitch charges into everything that she does.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's a self-esteem issue. She never once questions a single decision that she makes.
I do agree with that, though. Mm-hmm. It just made me like Genevieve so much more.
Which was maybe strategic because the next book is about Genevieve.
Maybe.
And I am going to read the next book.
Oh, 100%. We are going to get some spice.
I feel maybe it'll be like ACOTAR where it progressively gets more. Because the first 4 books of ACOTAR, there was smut happening in those books, but they were books with smut. And I really feel like the 5th book, borderline, was just a smutty book.
I agree with that.
So maybe it'll progress
Yeah.
Blackwell and Ophelia convince Genevieve to withdraw from the contest. She does. And level 8 is fraud. Ophelia is forced to decide which of 2 people who look, act, sound, have all of the memories of her sister, which one is actually her sister. The caveat being that if she guesses wrong, her real sister will die in real life. And during this, she realizes that her father, in his determination to get back to her mom, played this level and chose wrong, which is why her mom literally dropped dead. She guesses correctly, and in her rage decides that she's gonna end this. Queen Ophelia she's gonna end this contest that's been going on for centuries, for 9 levels, every single time.
This did feel really dumb. It felt like a really dumb decision. This has been going on for, I think centuries.
Mhm.
And she's just like, "I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm finished. I'm going to cheat. I'm gonna just move on because I can get to this door." And now she knows the name
I
and
understand making bad decisions in a fit of rage. I get that, but
you're gonna get disqualified.
oh, absolutely. I know she didn't think that she probably did though, because Blackwell has saved her ass so many times. She was like,
Literally.
"If I can't get out of this, Blackwell's got me. It'll be
Very
fine."
true.
And her sister forfeited, withdrew.
Mhm.
If you made your sister do that and then you risk your chances of winning, you're a horrible person because your sister might have made it to the end.
Mhm.
And she is so committed and so dedicated to finding the heart and key for Blackwell. She's so passionate about it. Again,
And
destroying your
yeah.
chances for it. Anyways, she decides that she's going to summon the door to the Prince of the Devils, and Sinclair has given her the name, which is the key to opening the door. So she uses his name to open the door. She gets in and is followed in by Blackwell, who is different here than he was in Phantasma. And this is where we kind of get our story twist, which is that Blackwell is in fact the prince of the devils. And Phantasma is his punishment from his father for falling in love with a mortal. Her name was Angel, which is why he calls Ophelia Angel. And he has some issues with his memories. It's
That's part of the curse.
part of the
He
curse.
can't remember anything outside of that one phantasma. And the
Mhm.
next time his memories are all jumbled.
And this is where the prologue scene happens because Ophelia initially thinks that he tricked her.
Mhm.
He didn't necessarily intentionally trick her.
Yeah, he didn't remember that he's the prince of demons.
Mhm. I think that there are some plot hole bits to
Yeah.
this as well because initially he says that he can't remember, but then in future things he says that he can remember, and in one of the things he says that he can't help her in the levels, but then he does proceed to help her in all the levels,
Right.
and again, just plot holes. Her the mortal that he was previously in love with, his father put her soul or her being into a locket, and then he passed on the locket to a paranormal necromancer who was Ophelia's, great 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 grandma. And the necklace has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. She gives the heart to Blackwell, which breaks his curse, but in doing so, she breaks the rule of Phantasma, which is to not fall in love, and so she is instead cursed. And he offers her a deal, her life for eternity attached to his. She accepts the deal.
This whole part too felt very, because at first he's like, "You are disqualified. You didn't win. There's still contestants." And then he can't give her back her life. The 10 years he took, she's still gonna lose those. But then he's just making all these new deals up and negating everything he said previously.
Mhm.
So I wanted more skin in the game here. I wanted it to be a little darker. I wanted something where to break the curse, like, she has to, like, bind herself to him or something, and she can never, but he literally says, "You can just walk away. If you free me and you do this, you can just walk away and live your life. You never have to see me again."
Mhm.
I just felt like there were high stakes that really just fizzled.
Yeah,
I did have a
I
problem with the ending.
thank you.
Yeah.
We agreed on
Look
something.
at that.
They live happily ever after at Groom Estate, and the 3 of them plus this bizarre cat that's been popping in and out
Yeah.
throughout the whole story. We didn't talk about it because it plays no part, but
No
they all just live happily ever after at Grim Manor, and
that we know of.
that we know of. That's where the story ends.
Yeah, and Genevieve is gonna go off and travel,
Mhm.
which I can't wait for. Okay, let's do our ratings
Okay.
first. So spice level,
What do
a
you
1. You gave it a
I
1.
gave it a 1.
I gave it a 2.
Okay.
Spice frequency.
I would give this a 4 or a 5.
Okay. I gave it a 3 for frequency.
Really?
I mean, it's a longer book, so there's 5 scenes. They only
Sure.
fuck 3 times.
Sure.
So it's a long
Well, they only
I
actually have sex
know.
3 times.
I
They do
know. They
other
do. Yeah.
things.
So I felt like it's not the spiciest. Should I have given it a 4?
You can't change your answers.
No, not if I can get
I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna stick with
okay.
my 4.
I feel like I'm gonna agree with you, and I'm gonna change mine to a 4.
Okay.
You've talked me into it. Look at us agreeing.
Good.
Love
We're
that.
so cute.
Okay, pros.
I'm gonna give this book a 2.
Okay.
First of all, I don't feel like the characters are well developed.
Sure.
None of them are. Even Genevieve feels very shallow to me.
Sure.
I think the actual story itself
Mhm.
is such a good idea.
Yeah.
I think she had so much potential with the levels and
Mhm.
there's so many great missed opportunities
Yeah.
in this book. And she also wrote it in third
To
person,
hate.
which I hate. If you're gonna do it in third person, it's fine.
Yeah.
Be very, very specific about how you write it in third person.
Yes.
Because there were multiple times where I had to go back and be like, "Wait, who is thinking this? Who is
Yeah.
saying this?
I was
Who
getting
is"
confused with all the ghosts too, and I
Yeah.
agree.
So, although I think that it is better than some of the things that I've read in this genre, I just think that it is generally sort of poorly executed.
Sure.
Ugh, in the nicest way possible.
It's still a great read. I gave it a 4. Until talking about it with you, I didn't notice most of those things that you had a problem with.
Mm.
I was just kind of along for this cute little ride. So I didn't really relate to Ophelia, which was fine because Blackwell was so sexy that I just didn't care. And I related to some of her decisions. So I didn't really dig deep. Now that we're talking about it, I would maybe change my
You
answer,
can't.
but I'm
You
not
can't
going to.
change 2
I'm
answers.
not going to. I'm
Okay.
gonna stick with a 4 because when I read it, I was
Yeah.
along for that cute
Yeah.
little ride.
Yeah.
All right, now storyline.
Storyline, I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay.
Mhm, for sure.
I gave it a 4.
Mhm. It's such an interesting story.
It ain't.
It is the one thing that she did do well is creating that spooky,
Yes.
disorienting vibe of
Mhm.
Phantasma. She did such a good job of
I
that.
agree.
The actual story itself is so, so interesting.
Mhm.
I would like Nikki St. Croix to rewrite the story.
You need some kinkier sex.
I do, and I need more. I think I just
You
like
need more people.
yeah, I just like but if it's not a harem, I don't want
You're
it.
uninterested.
No, I think 5 this the concept for the story, it's a very original idea. I've
Yes.
never read anything like this
No.
before, and I enjoyed the story immensely.
Yeah.
So,
Shout out Brooke for finding this book somehow.
absolutely.
Okay. And then overall.
Overall, I'm gonna give it a 3.
Okay. I gave it a 4 overall.
I would recommend reading this bobook.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same.
Yeah. Just I wouldn't read it for inspiration.
No.
Yeah.
Unless that is what you're into.
Mhm.
Because it did. I mean, Blackwell's really hot, depending on how you picture him in your mind. The white hair, just no.
I
Blondes, white hair, I'm not going to picture that.
yeah.
You're always going to be just tall, dark hair.
Mhm.
But
I do love when there's a big dumb idiot walking around bumping into things.
yeah, we did not get
We
that.
didn't get that in this book,
No.
which was I don't know.
She
Maybe
was
I just have
only going for one.
yeah,
This is just like, I don't know what it's called when there's just 2 people. It's something, I feel like.
just like a normal relationship.
Yeah. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
So I feel like there couldn't have been another love interest.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole premise of this book is that their souls are destined to
Which
meet
I love.
again. Mhm.
I love the whole soulmate thing.
Right. But you're
Of
not a
course I
hopeless
do.
right. But you're not a hopeless
I know, I
romantic.
guess I am.
So that is our recap of Phantasma. Other books by Kaylie Smith. She has another series called Heartless Fates. And then this is, as we mentioned, a duology, so Enchantra, which is coming out soon. Kaylie Smith is a writer and lover of all things fantasy. She grew up in Louisiana, where she frequently haunted bookstores and practiced her craft. After college, she decided to pursue her lifelong dream of becoming an author. But when she isn't writing or reading, she can be found at home with her menagerie of animals, fussing over her houseplants, or annoying people about astrology. And you can find her on all social media at Kale's Moon, or you can go to her website at KayleeSmithBooks.com. Where can you find this book?
So it is on Kindle Unlimited, and you can get it just audio version from Amazon. You can buy a paperback version though from like Target. I did not check my local library. Shoot.
I know that I seemed like I really had a lot of negative things to say about this book, but I am gonna buy this book. I read it on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
But I am gonna physically buy the book, and then I'm gonna buy Enchantress as well.
Have you looked at the cover of it? Yes. Same thing. I want the 4 books of The Never King, that like limited edition one. And I want this. They'd be so pretty on your bookshelf. We need it for our background.
We do.
We actually do.
We'll put it right next to my skulls.
It's perfect. The next one is cute too. She came out with the cover art for Enchantra, and it's super cute too.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So not as many places, but you can get it at Target. And then next week, we are doing Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Super excited for that one. Very different. I think we will disagree.
On that one as well?
Yeah.
Really?
Something. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to think.
I think I need to be less combative. I was a little upset this time. And
you had some big thoughts.
I did. Yeah.
I didn't.
Well,
I can relate to a problematic character, though, I think a little more than you can. You make more you're a mom. You make more level-headed decisions.
I know, but
I'm still just running right into things without thinking.
Sure. Wow. Oh my God. Which is how the podcast got up and running.
Literally.
I said, Nicole, we should start a podcast. And Nicole was like, hell yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'll go on for anything. And then I just show up.
Yeah.
That's the extent of me.
Well, join us next week. We're dropping episodes every Thursday, and we can be found on most social medias right now at Booksluts Pod. And
we have a website. bookslutspodcast.com.
We'll see you next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.